Hi everyone, this is Gail from Gail Ginny Makes. I hope you're all doing well. Oh, it's been an absolute age since I've been on the channel. Sorry about that. I did a big move. We've moved to Norfolk in the UK and we've just finally just about achieved a point of calm. So hectic, but we're getting there. And while I was away, oh my goodness, can't believe it. I hit over 1,000 subscribers. So just wanted to say thank you so much to everyone. It's so much appreciated, and it's nice to know that the work that you're doing is providing enjoyment or perhaps help to some people if they're struggling. And I've been through a creative slump myself recently, so I know how everyone feels. So my plan is to go on a crafty walk, and while I've been away, I've also discovered cardio stamps and fallen in love with these. So I've got a bit of a stash here. I am going to do a separate haul video, but I'm going to take you on a crafty walk, and I am going to use some of these stamps to do a bit of journaling with. So I hope you're going to enjoy it. The walk is coming up. It's at Venetian Waterways in Great Yarmouth, and it's just a lovely place to go and get that calm feeling that we all need nowadays, I think, especially if we want to create. So lots of inspiration there, and I do hope you'll come and join me. Get your wellies on, and I'll see you in a bit. Okay, so I'm starting my journaling with a sketch of the waterways sign, And I'm going to use the Waterside Walks collection by Cardio. They have some lovely trees. This bridge just really reminded me of when I was walking around with the lanterns and the bridge. And I'm doing Versafine Clair Nocturne for this one. Then I'm going to go in with the Morning Mist Versafine Clair to create the ripple effect on the water. And again, that was the Waterside Walk stamp. And now I'm going to go in with the Flock of Seagulls again in Nocturne. Now I'm using some of the Elements inks which are water based, so you could use Distress Oxide for this as well. I'm just moving the colour around with a little bit of water, creating that sort of watercolour effect. And now I'm just going in with a couple of trees from the Mini Tall Trees stamps. And again, I'm using Elements ink Bermuda colour just to create some riverbanks. And I'm using my little door bar just because it's, you know, it can give us that quite sort of fine detail. I've just used a piece of paper that's ripped to create the banks. And then I'm just going in again, using the Elements ink as a watercolour. As I said, if you've got Distress Oxides, they're perfect for this job as well. Now I'm using the Russet Orange colour to create that lovely yellow haze in the sky. When I went for the walk, it was a sort of nice, crisp, fresh morning. So it wasn't quite this sort of sunshine effect, but it's almost like a white haze when I was there. Now I'm using the Water's Edge stamp just to get a little duck in this section, because I did watch a lot of ducks while I was there. There's such a lot of bird life there. I was hoping to see a heron, but unfortunately I didn't see one. I have seen one there before, but not this particular day. So now I'm using Olive in the Elements, and again using it like a watercolour. Just adding a little bit more detail over the top of the previous sort of greenish colour. And I do love using like inks effectively as watercolours. I think they look really nice used that way. But remember, you can't do that with the Versafine Clair because it's oil based. You need to get a water based ink to get that effect. I was just tidying up a little bit here, giving a bit more definition, because I noticed that the sort of rippled effect on the water I'd kind of gone over with the actual banks. So now I'm just going in with that rippled effect again, just to try and, you know, bring it into focus. And I'm also using second generation stamping and even third and fourth, just to bring it sort of closer towards us without it looking too heavy. And again, I'm just bringing a little bit more colour in with the Elements inks. So next stage is just to try and get a little bit of shadow in there, and I just went back in with some more of the Elements ink there. I didn't really want to actually do direct reflection stamping, and wanted it to be a bit more subtle than that, so I've just come in with the graphite colour just to darken some of those areas off. And I decided that the riverbanks looked a little bit too kind of bare, so I've come in with the Mini Tall Trees set, and some of them are first generation stamping, some second, but also some of the areas of the paper were wet, so you've got that sort of watercolour-y effect going on again, which I really like. For the darker areas, I use Versafine Clair actually for the more defined areas. Now I did get a smudge, so I like to go over that straight away, so I've just used a white Posca pen. And now I'm bringing in some pan pastels just to add a little bit more depth. That works really well with the reflecting the sun onto the water. And I like the idea next of recreating the birds on the bridge. So I didn't have any seagull stamps, but I've used quite a few of the various birds from the stamp sets that I had. So they were Water's Edge. I used Water's Edge for the duck actually, and then I've got Down at the Den, and I also used some from the Perfect Place set as well. Again, I like to cover up any of my mistakes instantly, like the smudges and things, because otherwise they're just going to bug me. I can see them out the corner of my eye, and I just cover them up. I don't tend to panic though when I make mistakes. I know there's usually a way to sort of solve the problem, so I did actually make a bit of a boo-boo a bit later with my watercolour effect elements ink here, where it all smudged, but I managed to salvage it. So I'm doing a light blue colour because this sign was a very light blue, and also I think it, you know, it stands out quite well from the colours that I have used in this piece, so worked pretty perfectly. And obviously, you know, blue, a lot of people associate it as watercolour, so it just works on all levels. So I did do a few extra layers of this just to sort of get that, you know, sort of shaded effect. So it looked quite flat when I laid it at this point, but obviously you've just got to be careful because it does work like a watercolour, and it will smudge, and it will also you know, dry quite differently to how you originally put it down. So just be aware of that. You may need to add more layers to it later on, but this didn't take too long, to be honest. And the actual sign has got like black framework, so those sort of pencil lines that the curves that you see, I do go in and colour those in as well, because, you know, it's sort of all part of the actual sign, brings it all a bit more to represent what I actually saw. So trying to be accurate, even though I'm using a bit of poetic license for some of it, but, you know, it's just a nice record of the day. Journaling is, you know, it is what it is, isn't it? You kind of add your own flair to it. So so just going to quickly do the black bars now around the Waterways sign. I was a little bit clumsy with this, to be honest. I wish I'd taken a bit more time to do this and maybe used a finer brush, because it was a bit wider than I wanted it to be. But overall, I'm pretty pleased with the piece. It's just, journaling is just like a sort of quick get things down on the paper of what you've seen, isn't it? So we don't have to be quite as obsessed about it being perfect if we're doing like a picture we're going to sell or a card we're going to give to someone. So just filling in the little details there. And the next stage that I'm going to move on to is doing some reflection stamping. So I decided to have a go with some of the Elements ink again, because you can use water with that, same with Distress Oxide. And I've done a second generation stamping at the bottom and a first generation stamping at the top. Now this won't work with an animal, it works with foliage and trees, because the blur of the reflection is a bit more you know, confusing to look at. But if you're doing this with an animal, if you did that technique, it would be the wrong way round when you did the stamp the other way. So if you did it at the bottom first, when you did it at the top, it would be the wrong way round for reflection. So I'm just showing you the acetate method here. So I've laid the stamp down, first generation, and then I've stamped first generation onto a piece of acetate, laid that down, and you can see the tree on the right is perfectly reflected underneath. Same with this big tree, it's the perfect reflection. It works on acetate. I will do a separate video on this actually, because it can be a bit confusing, but if you want the reflection to be exactly as it should be, use the acetate. And here I'm using some pan pastel. Now pan pastels are lovely to get shading effects on a piece of work when you're sort of doing your finishing touches. You can get them in all different shades, and I wanted to recreate that sort of like swans flying in front of the sun hazy effect, but I didn't have a swan stamp, so I've used the owl. But I think it gets the point across that I thought this was a magical moment. So gone in with the Hansa yellow pan pastel and also a little bit of the white. So there we go, that's what I've finished up with. I've written a few inspiring words on there that kind of came to me on the day, and here's my finished piece. So I've added some purple just to give us an extra bit of colour and make it pop. This is violet chalk in the Elements, and around the edge I've got Monarch by Versifying Claire. So now I'm just going to go in and read some of my thoughts from the day. Reflections in the water, silhouettes in the sky, a perfect place of calm in a big Norfolk sky. Birds in flight from early light. The birds stood guard, the wind at their tail. Every time I pass, they are there without fail. Birds of every kind gathered together, huddled up against the weather. I saw swans flying through the haze of the sun, clumsy yet graceful, what a magical sight. Completed in 1928, the Venetian Waterways is a 7-acre park and a sanctuary for wildlife and people. And I do hope you enjoyed going on that crafty walk with me, guys. It was just such a beautiful day and really nice to get some memories down via the journaling. If you want to let me know in the comments any plans that you have or any photos that you want to share, I'd love to see them. And if you haven't already subscribed to the channel, guys, and you like this video, top left there is my profile picture. If you hit that and the bell and all notifications, that will let you know whenever I've got a new video coming out. Bottom left is another video I think you might be interested in too. So I hope you have a great week. Keep crafting, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.